this May 1st work session of the Oconee County Board of Education to order. First order of business is we need a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Ransom, Mr. Burgess, all in favor? Passes 5-0. Next, we have a superintendent's report. Dr. Branch.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, board members, and thank you, staff and community members that are here. We have 14 days remaining in our school year, and the years have flown by. And so lots of great things going on in our school system right now. I want to first make sure that the board is aware that today was the first day of the Justin Kofer being our Chief Human Resource Officer. So we want to welcome Justin to that new role and thank him for the good service that he's done as Director of Human Resources, and know he'll serve us well in that role. So welcome aboard, Justin. Appreciate all your leadership to this point and look forward to leadership you'll provide. We've had a busy couple of days and couple of weeks in the school system. Lots of wonderful things to celebrate. Got the opportunity to start the morning with several staff members out at North Oconee to celebrate Brady Burris and William Johnson, who were celebrating military appointments to Air Force Academy and to West Point. Congressman Mike Collins was on campus to celebrate those young men and their families, and what a great way to start our Monday off. As the board knows, we just left our retiring educators recognition as well, where we recognized 27 educators from around our county that provided various roles and responsibilities to our system with over 470 years of experience. And we appreciate them and the great work that they did to support students like Brady and William throughout their experiences. Today is School Principals Day, so we want to celebrate and appreciate our school principals. It's also the beginning of Teacher Appreciation Week and Better Hearing and Speech Month. So happy to acknowledge all these men and women that work so hard and do such an incredible job on behalf of our students. A couple of recognitions for our students as we continue. Michelle Lee came in as runner-up for the State Page Star Student for 2023. So Dr. Stansel attended that with our high school principals. Victor Wong was there as well and was recognized at the state banquet. As you know, there were regional star students, and so I think, at least in my time here over the last decade, we've not had a state runner-up, so we're very proud of that and proud of all of our students that are being recognized. Michelle and Victor continue to have the accolades roll in. They've also been chosen as a U.S. Presidential Scholar semifinalist, and I believe there's only about 600 of those in the United States. So quite an accomplishment there. I want to congratulate North Oconee, who won their 4th gymnastics state championship in a row, and Oconee, who came in as state runner-up this year in gymnastics as well. In fact, we had our student athletes were in the top 3 of 11 of the 15 possible spots in gymnastics this year in the state competition. Speaking of state championships, our Oconee girls and boys soccer programs will go for the titles on Wednesday down in Macon. In North Oconee, girls will be playing Thursday over in Powder Springs at McEachern High School for the state championship. So we're researching. We're not sure that any school system has had 3 teams out of the 4 playing for a state championship in soccer, to my knowledge, and so certainly proud of those programs, those coaches, and those athletes for all the great things that they are doing. A few other things. We want to thank Georgia United Credit Union. They also sponsored our retiring educators reception, but they also sponsor something called School Crashers. And last year, Column Ferry was awarded the School Crasher grant, and this year High Shoals is receiving that School Crasher grant. And Ms. Whitaker tells me that that's up to $20,000, and that will go towards a sensory room for students at High Shoals. And I believe that there were 7 schools selected from around the state and over 250 applicants for those grants. So congratulations to High Shoals and a wonderful partnership that we have with Georgia United Credit Union. Another successful year for our work-based learning program as well. We capped that off by naming Muddy Paws and Premier Introductions as the mentors of the year. So we want to thank all those that worked so hard to make that such an outstanding program that provides hands-on learning opportunities for our students. Appreciate the students, parents, and teachers that accompanied Fred and myself to Dove Creek Middle School for a behind-the-scenes tour. We put on the hard hats and vests, and I think we all made it out safely. Fred made sure we had to have closed-toed shoes on. He wouldn't let me wear my flip-flops that day for some reason, but things are really coming along. You're going to hear some more reports from Fred tonight about Dove Creek Middle, but if you've been by there, you see every single day, you can see it changing and getting better and better, which of course we need, because we're going to have school first Wednesday of August, right, Fred? Two last things. Apparently in Germany and South Africa, they know about Oconee County schools. We just had some administrators visit from both Germany and South Africa, and they toured our elementary and secondary schools, as well as had the opportunity to sit down with Mr. Eddie and I and just kind of discuss school governance and how our school systems work in the United States, and that was a very beneficial opportunity for both of us, I think. And as Mike and I are known to do, we did offer to go to Germany or South Africa if they needed us for a short visit.
I'm waiting for the invite.
Yeah, they said something about Zoom instead, so, but I think they just said that because Mike was in the room. And last and not least, certainly as we begin to celebrate our seniors, we've had the opportunity to celebrate our top 5%. Many of the board members have had a chance to be a part of these recognitions, and we just congratulate the top 5% of seniors that we celebrated at both North and Oconee. And if you're in a room like I was this morning with the military appointees, or you're at these competitions where these fine student athletes are competing for state championships, or the top 5%, then you know our world's in good hands. And we just appreciate the people that are doing the jobs to support the students and the families that trust us each day with their kids. So that'll conclude Superintendent's report unless there are questions.
Thank you, Dr. Branch. Next on our agenda is recognitions.
Good evening, board members and Dr. Branch. If you'll step forward and greet our guests for the evening. First, we'll be recognizing the 2022-23 Class 4A Boys Solo State Champion from North Oconee, Micah Kilgore, and his advisor is Renee Costigan.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Great job.
We need you right here.
Oh, one more.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Go tight.
Great job.
Next, we will acknowledge the 2022-23 Class 4A Dramatic Interpretation State Champion from North Oconee, Lainey Lyle.
Congratulations. I think you know the routine. Up here. Come on here in the center.
Right here.
Whoops, it's upside down.
Notice I didn't get a writing award.
Good cover.
Thank you.
One more. 1, 2. Go tight.
Thank you.
Now we will salute the 2022-23 Class 4A Duo Interpretation State Champions from North Oconee, Max Patrick and Lydia Peck.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Great job.
Thank you. Congratulations. Yes, ma'am.
I'll make a little gap. There we go.
You're tall, I don't worry about blocking.
Oh, you're good.
There you go, Mr. Mayor.
I'm a short one.
Okay, thank you.
One more.
Oh, keep forgetting.
1, 2, go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
And next, we will recognize the 2022-23 Class 4A Domestic Extemporaneous Speaking State Runner-Up and the third place finisher in girls solo from North Oconee, Layla Carter.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank
One more.
Sorry.
1, 2,
I think Mama's back there
3.
too.
Go Tigers.
You wanna come in and take a picture?
You want a picture, Mom? Oh, we got
So based on all these individual accomplishments, it should come as no surprise that North Oconee also won the 2022-23 Class 4A State Championship as a team in literary. So let's reintroduce the team members. Layla Carter, Micah Kilgore, Laney Lyle, Max Patrick, Lydia Peck, and advisor Renee Costigan.
We need some people maybe. Here, let's pick up this video.
There you go. Make a little gap with that. There it is. There it is. All right. Thanks, y'all.
One more.
All right.
One
Hold
more.
on, please.
1, 2, 3. Go Tigers.
And next is the recognition.
Next on our agenda, we have presentations and discussions. First, we have teaching and learning report. Welcome, Dr. Stanson.
Thank you. Good evening, board members. Dr. Branch. The May 2023 Teaching and Learning Report contains 2 items of information and 4 action items. The first item of information is the Future Educators Signing Day. On April 17th, 16 seniors from Oconee High School and North Oconee High School participated in this special event, which is a statewide initiative sponsored by the Georgia Department of Education. This event is designed to recognize students who have made the decision to pursue a career in education. We are excited about the commitment these students have made and wish them great success in their future. The second item of information is the Oconee All-Star Games. On March 29th, 84 Oconee County Schools Special Olympic athletes participated in summer athletic events at Clark Central High School. Clark County hosted the games, allowing our athletes to compete against other schools in track and field events. The students were able to participate in this wonderful event so they could be included and succeed. In addition, the Pilot Club gave a generous donation to our Special Olympics program of $250. The Pilot Club has been a generous supporter of our Special Olympic athletes over the years. I would also like to commend our Director of Special Education, Suzanne Korngold, for her work in making events like this possible for our students. The first action item for the May Board of Education meeting is the CTAE Local Plan and Grants. Each year, the Oconee County Schools Career, Technical, and Agricultural Education Department has the opportunity to apply for federal funding through the Carl D. Perkins Vocational and Technical Education Act and several state grants for the purpose of improving our CTAE programs. Grant funds must be spent for local programs in compliance with the Perkins Act, the state plan, state rules, and our local plan guidelines. These grants support the continuation and improvement of CTAE activities, initiatives, and programs for Oconee County schools. The CTAE director uses the CTAE improvement plan, input from our teachers and advisory committees, and the Perkins requirements to complete the application and determine the activities that will be funded each year. To receive federal and state funding, action needs to be taken by the Oconee County Board of Education. The superintendent's recommendation is for the Board of Education to approve the FY24 CTAE local plan at the May 8th, 2023 Board of Education meeting. The second action item for the May Board of Education meeting is Foundations. Foundations is a structured literacy approach using multisensory techniques. It is aligned with the science of reading and provides effective instructional practices. Copies of this instructional resource have been available for review at the Teaching and Learning Office with no comments. This will be paid for using general fund dollars. The superintendent's recommendation is to take this off the table and approve Foundations at the May 8th, 2023 Board of Education meeting. The third action item for the May Board of Education meeting is ST Math. ST Math is a highly engaging visual instructional program that leverages the brain's innate spatial temporal reasoning ability to solve mathematical problems. Copies of this instructional resource have also been available for review at the Teaching and Learning Office with no comment. This will be paid for using general fund dollars. The superintendent's recommendation is to take this off the table and approve ST Math at the May 8th, 2023 Board of Education meeting. The fourth action item for the May Board meeting is Common Lit 360. Common Lit 360 is a comprehensive ELA program for grades 6 through 8 that comes with professional learning and wraparound supports. Copies of this resource have also been available at the Teaching and Learning Office with no comment, and this will be paid for using general fund dollars. The superintendent's recommendation is to take this resource off the table and approve it at the May 8th, 2023 Board of Education meeting. And that concludes my report, unless there are any questions.
Sister, can you remind me what grade levels the Foundations and ST Math are used in?
Yes, Foundations is K through 3 and ST Math is K through 5.
Thank you. Next on our agenda is technology. Welcome, it says Dr. White. Is that new?
It's new.
Well, congratulations.
Good evening, board members and Dr. Branch. The May 1st Oconee County Schools Division of Technology Services report has 3 items of information. The first is an update on Dove Creek Middle School. Fred has built us a beautiful building and we are excited about getting into it more and more this month and next month. So we are putting in projector plates right now, audio enhancements about 80% complete, almost all the network wires done being pulled, and we are looking forward to starting to build the network for that facility this month. So we are steaming right along. The second item of information is our desktop computer update. In January, the board approved 192 desktop computers and 58 desktop computers in February. The 192, as you'll remember, are part of the desktop replacement cycle, and the 58 were for a new CTA lab at North and a new CTA lab at OC. And we're going to start taking delivery of all those items this week and next week, so we have them in time to go ahead and start doing those as part of our summer projects as well. The last item of information is an update on technology support for Georgia Milestones. And I first want to say that this really starts with the collaboration we have with Teaching and Learning and with Tony McCullers, who's our Director of Assessment School Improvement. And one of the things we've done this year is we completely rebuilt our network infrastructure to support testing. So now we actually have a team of servers, and that team takes those tests and just chews through them one at a time. So it takes the first available request from students' Chromebooks, and we've seen a lot of success with that. We also have technology staff on site, especially on those first few days of testing when we're looking for those bugs or things that may come up. And we have those folks on site just to help local techs, principals, and anyone else that may need assistance that day. And lastly, we're also debrief on any analytics, bandwidth, any server usage as well. So it's a big project to be able to get through that in the course of a year, but it requires collaboration and being able to manage all those people in multiple facilities. So it's gone very well this year, and we're excited about it. And that concludes my report, unless there's any questions.
Any questions? Thank you, Dr. White.
So,
Next, we have the Associate Superintendent's report. Welcome, Dr. Ledoux.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. The Student Services Report contains 5 items of information and 4 action items for the May 8th Board of Education meeting. The first item of information is our school nutrition update. Happy to report that we had an increase of 1.48% in breakfast participation and 1.21% in lunch participation when compared to the 18-19 school year. The second item of information is our graduation date and times. As you heard Dr. Branch mention earlier, we are looking forward to celebrating our seniors and all their accomplishments over the last 12 years or so. So Oconee County High School will be in Warrior Stadium on May 19th at 7:30 p.m. and their rain makeup date is May 20th at 10 a.m. North Oconee High School will be Saturday, May 20th at 7:30 p.m. in Titan Stadium, and their rain makeup date is is the Titan Stadium May 21st at 7:30 p.m. The third item of information is Regulation JBCDR titled Non-Resident Students. Our Human Resources Division has studied recruitment and retention of school leaders, and one of their recommendations is to remove the tuition requirement for staff members who enroll their students that reside outside of Oconee County. That update would be pending board approval of the FY24 budget, and that's when the requirement would change after the FY23 budget is concluded. School staff has shared that they believe the removal of tuition will assist them in the recruitment and retention of educators as well as support staff. And I'd just like to thank the board for continuing to empower staff to look for creative ways to recruit and retain highly qualified staff for our school system. The fourth item of information is Regulation IDE-R titled Competitive Interscholastic Activities, grades 6 through 12. I'm going to jump down to our action items for just a second because this is the accompanying regulation of policy IDE titled Competitive Interscholastic Activities, grades 6 through 12. And that's an action item to be placed on the table for review and public comment at the May 8th Board of Education meeting. But the purpose of these updates is to allow for the 6th grade participation in middle school athletics with the exception of football. I'd like to commend our school staff for continuing to look for ways to create opportunities for students outside of the regular classroom. Currently, our 6th graders are the only students in our school system that are unable to participate in the athletic programs at the school that are offered for other grade levels. We believe that giving 6th graders the opportunity to participate will assist in engaging the newest students to our middle schools outside of that regular school day. The fifth item of information is a supplement review. Our school leaders, along with district office staff, have reviewed the secondary athletic and academic supplements, and we have included the recommended changes in the tentative budget that Ms. Harlow will present tonight. During our review, we evaluated the expectations and the roles associated with the different positions on our supplement sheets, and we also compared those supplement sheets to like systems in our region to ensure that we were remaining competitive with those systems. The resulting recommendation resulted in an average across the board increase for athletic supplements of 25% and an average across the board increase of academic supplements of 24%. I'd like to thank the board for your continued and unwavering support of prioritizing opportunities for our students that reach far beyond the classroom in their regular school day. The first action item for the May 8th, 23 Board of Education meeting is a Oconee High School and North Oconee High School field trip for the HOSA program to go to Dallas, Texas, June 21st through the 25th. Superintendent's recommendation is to approve that trip for the HOSA International Leadership Conference. The second action item is a North Oconee field trip for our FCCLA, July 2nd through the 6th to Denver, Colorado. The superintendent's recommendation is to approve the NOHS FCCLA field trip so they can participate in a convention in Denver. The third action item is board policy IDE that we just discussed again to allow for the participation of 6th grade athletics beginning in the next school year. And the fourth action item is our facilities use agreement with Oconee County Parks and Recreation. Board members, as you know, the current joint use agreement with Oconee County Parks and Recreation will expire June 30th of this year. We have collaborated with Parks and Rec to draft a new agreement for July 23rd, for July 2023 through June 2026. The new agreement will remain the same in principle and continue phasing in of the discounted nonprofit fee schedule. As you all will recall, 3 years ago, when we entered into our current agreement, the board decided to allow for the phasing in of fees rather than applying the nonprofit rate immediately to allow the Board of Commission time to make adjustments for their budget. In the current agreement in year one, the fee schedule was 0%. The Board of Commission paid 0% for that joint use agreement in terms of our fee schedule that would be applied. So it was free, essentially. Year two, they paid 50%, and this current year, year three, they're paying 60% of the discounted nonprofit fee schedule. The new agreement would call for them to pay 75% of that nonprofit fee schedule in the next fiscal year, 90% in the year after that, and 100% in the year after that of the nonprofit fee schedule. As you know, the fees that are a part of that nonprofit's fee schedule are associated with the maintenance of our facilities that are the direct result of the usage by the outside organizations. That concludes the Student Services report, unless there's any questions.
Mr. Burgess?
Dallas, you just highlighted one point that's been obvious to me since we started this 3 years ago, in that the intent all along was to recognize and begin to address some of the maintenance costs associated with Parks and Recreation using the facilities that the school system owns and maintains itself, and that's what this agreement has always been about, is a minimal sharing arrangement of some of the maintenance costs associated with that infrastructure. I guess my one question by example is, one of the, obviously the biggest impacts on this has got to be in the gyms that we have. We've got 10 or 11 of them, fixed to be 12. Do you have any idea, ballpark, what it costs to build a gym like we have in our schools?
Yes, sir. I was actually reviewing with Mr. Ricketson earlier today. The cost of the Dove Creek Middle School gym is approximately $7 million.
Okay. So $7 million to build a new gym. We've got 10 or 12 of them, so you can infer from that the capital cost associated with all of those facilities is in the multi-millions of dollars. So this agreement has never been about trying to recapture any of the cost to build those facilities. It's only an attempt to address some of the costs associated with maintaining those at the quality that the school system requires, correct?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Okay. satisfied my perspective.
Anyone else?
And it doesn't, I mean, we've done, I know in the past when we did this initially, but studies on what our actual cost is, and that's part of the point too. We didn't want to pass all of that on to them, so that's why we're using the nonprofit rate.
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
And then how much does the school system use of the county's facilities?
So our only regular use of the county facilities is for our middle school softball programs, and we use approximately 240 hours throughout the course of the whole season for both schools.
That's really it, yeah. But they're using almost all of our facilities.
Yes, ma'am, they're in just almost all of our gyms. They use our high school stadiums. They use the microfields over at Oconee Middle.
Would you expect that usage to continue once Dove Creek Middle School opens, and they'll be requesting the use of the new Dove Creek gym as well?
Yes, sir, I would anticipate that they're going to request to use Dove Creek next year.
Okay. So the issue is not the availability and usage of those facilities, even the ones that we're about to build. It's about helping to maintain those at the level that we feel is necessary. Correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct. Now, with the addition of sixth grade athletic spending board approval, certainly we would be in the facilities more as well. So that's something that we will have to negotiate as we move forward and making sure that we have enough space and time dedicated to our athletic programs before we would release that to the park and then eventually the public.
I want to ask, just to clarify a question, make sure I'm following what Amy was asking. So in this joint use agreement, it does not completely cover the maintenance cost for the time that the Park and Rec uses our facilities. It's only a portion of the maintenance cost for the time that they use.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have operations. Welcome, Mr. Ricketson.
Good evening. The Oconee Schools Operations Division May Board of Education report contains 4 items of information and 2 action items for the May 8th, 2023 Board of Education meeting. The first item of information is the energy report. It's been updated for the month of March, and this is the lowest March on record. So Steve and his team need to be commended for continued work on controlling our energy usage. Our item number 2 is our lead custodian meeting. The April lead custodian meeting was held on Thursday, April 13th, and was hosted by the team at Oconee Elementary School. The team discussed preparing for summer cleaning and proper floor squeegee maintenance. Our custodial teams are to be commended for their rigorous work, ensuring that our schools are clean for health. Next, as everybody's been waiting for, our update on Dove Creek Middle School. I'm very excited to report that permanent power is going to be turned on tomorrow, along with the air conditioning systems, which means all the final finishes are starting to go in this week. Flooring, ceiling tiles is really starting to shape up. The painting is just about complete. There's a lot of final cleaning going on. Zoe, did you have a picture?
Excuse me. No,
Sorry.
I don't have one.
Oh, no, okay. And anyway, the landscaping is continuing very well. And right this week, they're also working on cleaning up how it looks from Autumn Mountain Road. So basically, the weeds and things have grown out of control over the course of construction. They're going to get that cleaned up, get the sign complete, so that everybody knows we're about to open. Next is Oconee primary school, elementary school, and high school modifications. We did a pre-roofing conference last week, so these guys are getting ready. They got materials on order, and we're ready for our May 22nd start. Also, the Instructional Support Center. If you've been by the site, you can see that they've been clearing a lot of trees. The site is a lot bigger once the trees are gone. They're actually grinding up the trees and stumps this week to convert to mulch, and should be begin grading on the site this week. Finally, Mountain Bridge Elementary School addition. They finished site clearing. The initial grading is near completion, And there's the retaining wall, which is the first piece of concrete to go on the ground. It's underway. They should be finished with the retaining wall this week, which will allow them to finish constructing the building pad and start on the building footings. Any questions on construction? All right, moving into transportation. Transportation Department can coordinate the following trips over the last month: 29 field trips, 43 athletic trips, 23 special education trips, for a total of 95 trips, totaling 6,529 miles. We have two action items. The first is high school tennis court lighting. This is for Oconee High and for North Oconee High. It's the superintendent's recommendation for the Board of Education to approve qualified electrical contractors for the high school's tennis court lighting project for a cost of $727,930. The estimated total project cost, which includes the design services, is $760,860. This project will be funded with general fund and ELOS dollars. The next is Oconee School System Direct District-wide paving project. Just a few points of interest about this project. Earlier this year, we did a paving review for the district. During that review, we determined there were 9 different schools and 2 district properties that needed a great deal of paving work. We divided it into 8 projects that kind of made a logical sense together. The reason we divided it in those 8 projects was to ensure that we had plenty of participation, plenty of people competing for the work, make sure we got the best possible prices, and it also, it wasn't awarded to one large contractor, that Oconee County residents and local pavers would have an opportunity to win this work. In most cases, the paving failure is due to the base structure, and the way we can tell that is because of the spider web cracking that's been occurring in the asphalt. The solution for that is what we call full depth asphalt reclamation. This was a process chosen to make the repairs. This method gives us a 20 to 30 year life expectancy for the new paving versus a 5 to 10 year life expectancy for the standard mill and repave project. With all that said, it's the superintendent's recommendation to the Board of Education to approve the attached 5 vendors for the district-wide paving project for a proposal cost of $4,146,420.60. The estimated total project cost, which includes design services, is $4,189,920.60. This project will be funded with general fund and ELOS dollars. And that concludes my report, unless there are any questions.
Chris, all the paving then would be started and completed this summer, or lead into next year?
Yes, sir. These projects will be completed this summer.
Busy man.
Yeah.
I'm not taking any vacation next month.
Board members, we seem to have had a gremlin with our attachments. We will upload those attachments for public view and for your view, and it lists our bidders and the numbers that Fred shared, as well as all the projects. So apologies for that, but we will get that updated tonight, get that information to you and the public for your consideration between now and Monday's meeting.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, we have communications. Mr. Colvin.
Thank you, Ms. Argo. Again, board members, Dr. Branch. The communications report for this evening has 2 items of information. The first of which is our monthly highlights video, and I'll ask that you mute your mics, please. Dr. Branch noted earlier, we've had a lot of exciting things happening in our schools, and we're happy to highlight those here tonight. The first slide you saw was our First Responders Appreciation Luncheon, and we appreciate the board being there that day. We appreciate North Oconee for being gracious hosts, and we appreciate all the schools for their participation. But most certainly, we acknowledge and thank the first responders for the vital role they play in our community, and it was our pleasure to be able to entertain them that day for a luncheon just for our opportunity to say thank you. And that concludes the communications report, unless there are any questions.
Any questions? Thank you. All right, next we have business services. Welcome, Ms. Arlo.
Thank you. So good evening, board members. Business Services has 2 action items for the May 8th regular board meeting. The first action item is the FY24 tentative budget for general fund. First, I would like to review the FY24 budget development calendar. Here you have the development calendar for the FY24 budget process. The process began with the divisions submitting their budget requests to Business Services in February. In March, staffing allotments were distributed to principals in addition to their per pupil allotments. Budget requests were reviewed and revised during this time as well. The tentative budget is being presented today with the plan for board adoption at next week's regular board meeting. We will then publish the budget advertisement in the Oconee Enterprise and have our required budget hearings on the tentative dates before you in May. Review and adoption of the final budget and tentative millage rate will be at the June regular session. The 5-year tax digest is tentatively scheduled to be published in the Oconee Enterprise on July 13th, and the tax digest update is tentatively scheduled for the July regular session. These dates are tentative because they are dependent on when we receive the update of the tax digest. Final adoption of the millage rate is tentatively scheduled for August 7th. At this point, the adopted budget will be submitted to the Carl Vinson Institute and transmitted to the Georgia Department of Education. So this is a look at the FY24 tentative budget for general fund that will be placed for your consideration at that May 8th regular session. As we go through this, please continue to look at it, and if there are any adjustments that the board desires, I will work with the superintendent to make these adjustments. The total available revenue for the FY24 tentative budget is $138.7 million. 40% is state revenue of $55.7 million, and 60% is local revenue of $83 million. The local sources consist of local revenue of $48.2 million and a beginning fund balance of $34.8 million. Is it turned out last? I'll do it for you. Or did 3? The local revenue for the tentative budget is $48.2 million, which is 46% of total revenue. Ad valorem tax is $44.8 million, or 93% of the local revenue. The estimate is based on a 7.28% tax digest growth, which is based on a 10-year average, and is net of the 2.5% collection fee, which amounts to over $1.1 million. Other local taxes is $2.7 million, and they make up 6% of the local revenue. These taxes are real estate transfer and intangible taxes and title ad valorem taxes. And then there is $680,000 or 1% of other local sources, and these are for revenues such as Medicaid reimbursements that we get for services provided to children, facility rental, and interest earnings. State revenue for the tentative budget are $55.7 million, or 54% of total revenue. The primary source is QBE funds of $53.6 million, which is 96% of state revenues. This figure is net of the local fair share of $12.8 million. And as a reminder, the local fair share is a part of the state QBE funding formula and reduces QBE funds by 5 mils of the equalized net tax digest. We will also receive a little over $1 million, or 2% of the state funding that goes towards our nursing and transportation programs. And then we will receive $1.1 million for our career, tech, and ag programs, as well as safety. This is the history of the tax digest. We have had a steady growth since tax year 2014, and the FY24 tentative budget is built on the tax digest value of $3.023 billion, which represents an estimated growth of 7.28% from last year. The FY24 tentative budget has total expenditures of $106 million. 91%, or $96.2 million of the budget is allocated for salary and benefits for all personnel. 9%, or $9.8 million is allocated for operations of the school system to pay for things such as diesel, utilities, internet access, instructional resources, and other similar needs. The tentative budget has 24 positions for growth. We have 2 special education teachers, 2 speech language pathologists, 2 special education paraprofessionals, 1 registered behavioral technician paraprofessional, 15 regular education teachers, and 2 regular education paraprofessionals. I want to thank the board for their continued support in allowing us to allocate and hire these new positions ahead of the final approval of the budget. Included in the FY24 tentative budget is a recommendation for a 5% pay raise for all employees with a total cost of approximately $3.7 million. And this would be the largest salary enhancement provided across all job classes, across the board in the last decade. This next slide shows the history of pay raises for the school district for the last 10 years, including what has been proposed for FY24, which are steps for all eligible employees and a 5% increase. And again, this would be the largest salary enhancement across the board for all employee groups that we've had in the last decade. $78%, or $82.3 million of the tentative budget is geared towards instruction and instructional support of students. A smaller amount of $23.7 million, or 22%, remains for support services. This is for the administration of our schools, hiring of our employees, upkeep of our building and grounds, transportation of our students, and other support services. This is a breakdown of the expenditures that are directed towards instruction of our students. 72%, or $76 million of the tentative budget is for instruction. This is direct instruction in the classroom. These are your teachers, your paraprofessionals, and any kind of instructional resources that are used in the classroom. $3.6 million, or 3.4%, is for pupil services. This is our nurses, social workers, and psychologists. Another $1.3 million, or 1.3%, is for improvement of instruction. This is for professional development of our teachers and curriculum development. And you have $1.3 million, or 1.3%, that is for educational media. And this is for our media centers for all 12 schools. Here you have a look at the FY24 tentative expenditures compared to FY23. The The FY '24 tentative budget includes $5 million for the increase in the health insurance employer contribution. The per member per month contribution is increasing from $945 per month to $1,580 per month for certified employees for the full fiscal year, and to $1,195 per month for classified employees effective January 1st, 2024. As mentioned previously, the tentative budget includes a 5% salary improvement for all employees for $3.7 million. 24 growth positions are included to support the district's growing student enrollment. $1.75 million is included for staffing the new Dove Creek Middle School. Eligible step increases are included at $785,000, and this is for all staff that have earned an additional step on their respective pay scales. As Dr. LaDuff mentioned earlier, the tentative budget includes $326,000 for academic and coaching supplement increases. $169,000 is included for support of our deputies that are responsible for traffic control in front of our schools in the mornings and afternoons, and to support a pay rate of $35 per hour. The tentative budget includes $120,000 for salary adjustments for paraprofessionals to consolidate multiple pay scales. A one-time technology purchase of $107,000 for Chromebook warranties. The tentative budget includes $70,000 to provide a one-time $1,000 supplement for custodians during the 2023-2024 school year. And funding for much of this will be provided by the state with a minimal local cost of approximately $20,000. And finally, $58,000 is included to provide a $2,000 supplement to special education paraprofessionals who work with children who have specialized needs. So at this point, we will review the fund balance document. We currently estimate the ending FY '23 fund balance to be $34.8 million. Of the $34.8 million, $8.02 million will be set aside in the category of assigned fund balance. Assigned fund balance is the portion of fund balance set aside for specific purposes, future projects, and initiatives. You can see the projects listed on this document. $11 million will be set aside in the category of committed fund balance for future debt payments on the 2021 general obligation bonds. Committed fund balance is the portion of fund balance that includes resources that can only be used for specific purposes as approved by the board. And that will leave the remaining unassigned fund balance at $15.78 million, or 14.89%. So our current millage rate is 15.5 mils, and this budget has a proposed millage rate of 15.5 mils. The beginning total fund balance, as mentioned previously, is estimated to be $34.8 million, with committed fund balance of $11 million and assigned fund balance of $8.02 million, to bring us to a beginning unassigned fund balance of $15.78 million. Revenues of $103.9 million and expenditures of $106 million to bring the ending unassigned fund balance to $13.7 million. Future considerations include our student growth. Our student population continues to grow. We have significant upcoming capital outlay projects. We have seen continued growth of the local tax digest over the last several years. We continue to monitor the state funding formula and any potential changes. Although TRS employer rates did not increase for FY '24, we will look to see if changes are made to this rate in the future. For the employer health insurance rate, we saw increases to both certified and classified employees for FY '24 and expect additional increases for classified employees over the course of the next few years. So here we have our tentative budget for general fund. And to recap, we have local revenue at $48.2 million, and this is net of the collection fee of $1.1 million. We also have state revenue at $55.7 million, and that is net of the local fair share at $12.8 million. Total anticipated expenditures of approximately $106,000. And this includes our largest expenses of health insurance, the salary improvements of 5%, 24 growth positions, the staffing of Dove Creek Middle School, and step increases. This brings our estimated unassigned fund balance at June 30th, 2023 to $15.78 million, and our estimated unassigned fund balance at June 30th, 2024 to $13.7 million, or 12.89%. And so at this time, I'm going to pause. If there are any questions.
I want to talk about the local fair share. It's my understanding that if we pass this budget for 15.5 mills, that 5 mil automatically leaves our system and goes to systems that are in rural Georgia. At one time, Gwinnett County was the largest recipient of local fair shares. Is that still true? That's 5 mills. That's almost $13 million of Oconee taxpayers' money that leaves our county. I don't think people are aware of that. But we are considered an affluent county, so we have to help others that don't fall into that category.
You beat me to the punch. So, you know my opinion on the local fair share out there, and I want to be clear, it's 5 mills regardless of the value of a mill.
That's correct.
So in some counties like ours where the value of a mill is higher than some other counties, it's based on the 5 mills regardless of the value.
Yes, sir.
And Oconee County receives none of that money back, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Anyone else? Mr. Burgess?
Liz, thank you for yet again a very good presentation. I know there's a lot of work. It takes you about 30 minutes to talk about this, but it probably took you 3 months to put it all together. So I've been there, and I appreciate what you've done and put together a pretty complex budget with a lot of moving parts to address a lot of needs in a fast-growing system. I want to start by complimenting you on the proposal you've made to commit the funding towards the debt service for the bonds that are outstanding. We've known since this SPLOST started and since we began this process that we've got a pretty substantial debt service in front of us that has to be serviced over the course of the next 5 years. And I think it's a very sound, fiscally prudent step to take to commit a portion of our available revenues towards what we know is going to be a substantial debt service cost over that period of time. I hope over the next several years that we're able to continue to add to that to a level that will be sufficient, so that based on projections and everything else that happens over the next 5 years, that between that committed reserve and other collections that we'll make, that we'll be able to easily meet that debt service without any problems. But I think your step in committing this in this budget at this point is a very necessary and very prudent fiscal thing to do, and I appreciate it. I want to also point out what has always been a pet peeve of mine in this budget. This is probably the 10th budget that I've sat here and reviewed and will eventually vote to approve. And I noticed your estimate for the 2.5% collection from the county is now over $1.1 million. I haven't looked at this in a couple of years, but the last time that I looked at it, The whole budget of the tax commissioner's office is not that much. So this is clearly more than it takes to fund the entire tax commissioner's office plus some this year. And I suspect that over the course of these 10 years, this fee has been at least $10 million that's paid for out of ad valorem taxes that we assess for educational purposes, that then indirectly goes to the county to pay for whatever they use it for. I don't know why this has continued at this level and how it continues to go undiscussed and unabated, but it just seems to have gotten to a level where it's beyond what's necessary to cover any reasonable cost that the county may have. When I get my tax bill, it's got all my taxes on it, to the county and to the school system. And I can't believe that it costs $10 million for the county to write my tax bill numbers on that one tax bill that goes out. So it's always been a source of consternation for me that this is a fee that continues to go up, and as our tax collections go up, clearly this continues to rise. I'm going to vote for this budget in the end with this fee in there, because I don't know what else to do other than raise it year after year after year. But it's one of those things that just continues to eat at me, and without any resolution to doing this. But you've done your part. I understand why it's in here, but it's just not something that I feel like can be just washed over without at least raising it to the level of visibility. So, thank you.
Anyone else?
The second action item is the FY24 tentative budget for federal funds. And board members, as you know, we are allocated federal funding that is passed through the Georgia Department of Education, and these funds are restricted for the purposes of each grant. And I ask that the superintendent recommend approval of the FY24 tentative budget for general fund and the FY24 tentative budget for federal funds at the May 8th regular board meeting. And that concludes my report unless there are any further questions.
Thank you. Board members, we do have a need to go into executive session, and we need a motion to do so.
I'll make a motion that the board will adjourn to executive session to discuss and deliberate upon personnel matters, to review and appeal from a student disciplinary tribunal hearing officer or panel as described in the affidavit to be attached to the minutes.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Hammack. All in favor? Passes 5-0.
Board members will take a few minutes to clear the room.